Flying isn't just stressful, it's quietly become a trap. You book a cheap ticket, thinking you scored a deal, only to get hit with surprise fees, bag restrictions, and weird new rules that weren't there last year. And by the time you're standing barefoot at TSA with your backpack halfway open and your shampoo in a plastic bag, you're already regretting everything. But here's the thing, it's not your fault. Airlines are changing the rules faster than most people can. Keep up, and they're counting on you not noticing. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on the quiet ways airlines are squeezing more money and control out of everyday travelers, and the simple tricks that can help you take it all back. From baggage loopholes to TSA workarounds and packing hacks used by pros, you're about to learn the stuff frequent flyers never post on Instagram. And at the end, I'll share a trick so effective, it feels like cheating, yet it's 100% allowed. Let's start with something most people miss until it's too late. Your carry-on isn't as free as it used to be. A few years ago, almost every airline included one standard carry-on suitcase with your economy ticket. But now, many major carriers have quietly taken that away. On budget flights especially, you're often only allowed a single personal item, and they're banking on you showing up with the wrong bag. If you do, guess what? That's a $40 to $70 fee, just like that. But that's not even the worst part. Even if you do pay for a carry-on, there's no guarantee you'll get to keep it. Airlines have figured out a sneaky little game. Overbook the overhead bins and force people to gate-check their bags. So, after shelling out cash just to bring a small suitcase, you're still forced to hand it over, sometimes minutes before boarding. And if you've ever had a bag go missing or delayed, you know just how risky that is. Now, here's where it gets even weirder. Ever noticed that some passengers start forming a line at the gate way before boarding starts? That chaotic early swarm has a name. Gate lice. It's people trying to rush the plane early just to claim bin space. And some airlines are cracking down, literally punishing passengers who try to board too early by forcing them to step aside or go to the back of the line. It's like a game of musical chairs, except the prize is a place to store your hoodie and toothpaste. So what's the real solution? Skip the carry-on suitcase altogether. Instead, travel with just a personal item bag. But here's the catch. Use the biggest one allowed. Most people show up with a tiny tote or laptop bag, but airlines actually publish the full dimensions of what counts as a personal item. And in most cases, that means you can bring a full-sized backpack or even a small duffel. Some travel backpacks are specifically designed to max out those limits, and they fit way more than you think. Okay. So now you're thinking, how am I supposed to fit everything I need into a single underseat bag? Here's where it gets fun. It all starts with a packing technique used by the military. It's called the army roll. Take a t-shirt, jeans, or even a hoodie, lay it flat, fold a few inches of the hem to make a pocket, and roll it as tightly as possible. Then flip that pocket over the whole roll to lock it in. What you've got is a compact, wrinkle-resistant clothing burrito that stays tight and saves space. Next up, compression cubes. If you're still using regular packing cubes, you're missing out. Compression cubes zip down a second layer and literally shrink your clothes without needing a vacuum. Roll everything military style, load up the cubes, and zip them down tight. You'll be shocked how much fits. It's not just efficient, it's kind of satisfying, like real-life Tetris for adults. But smart packing isn't just about technique, it's also about planning. One of the biggest mistakes travelers make? Overpacking clothes they'll never wear. Instead, go minimal and intentional. Stick to neutral colors so every top matches every bottom. Choose lightweight, wrinkle-resistant fabrics, and pack clothes that can be layered. Wear your bulkiest stuff, like jackets or boots, on the plane. And don't forget that one pair of all-purpose pants that work for both casual days and decent dinners. Now, let's talk about gear. The right travel gadgets don't just save space, they save your sanity. First, a high-capacity portable charger. Your phone dies at the airport, you're stranded. No Uber, no boarding pass, no nothing. Second, a universal adapter. International trip. You'll want something that works in every outlet and lets you charge multiple devices at once. Third, a luggage scale, because nothing's worse than getting nailed with overweight fees and having to unpack your underwear at the check-in counter. And for long flights, noise-cancelling headphones are a must. Drown out screaming babies and engine hum, and arrive in a better mood than anyone else on the plane. Still worried about fitting it all? Here's how to handle weird weather without overstuffing your bag. Layer up. If you're headed somewhere cold, pack thermal base layers, a mid-layer like a fleece, and a waterproof jacket. All of it rolls. For tropical spots, go light. Linen shirts, swimwear, and breathable fabrics. And for in-between climates, think versatility. A scarf can be a blanket, a wrap, or even a pillow. A windbreaker weighs nothing and works for all kinds of weather. Now for that one final trick I promised. This is something even frequent flyers forget. Your personal item goes under the seat for takeoff and landing, right? But once you're in the air, slide it back behind your legs. Just push it gently behind your calves. You'll free up several inches of foot space without violating any rules. On long flights, this makes a huge difference. It's one of the easiest ways to feel like you're in an upgraded seat without paying for one. So there you have it. From bag hacks and hidden fees to TSA-friendly gadgets and comfort upgrades, you now know the real rules of modern air travel. Don't just fly, fly smarter. And if you found this helpful, there's plenty more where that came from. Subscribe for more travel secrets every week, and check out the next video where I break down which airlines are quietly changing the rules on boarding and how you can still win the game. Safe travels. One of the first traps most travelers fall into is assuming their carry-on is still free. Not long ago, almost every airline included a carry-on bag with your ticket. No questions asked, but that's changed. Now, many major airlines, especially low-cost carriers, have stripped that perk away without making a big announcement. You'll book a basic economy ticket, thinking you're saving money, and then at check-in, boom, you're told that your roller bag will cost an extra $50, and if you don't pay, you're down to one personal item, which most people assume means something like a purse or small backpack. But here's where it gets even sneakier. The definition of a personal item is actually bigger than most travelers realize. Airlines publish size limits for what qualifies, and in most cases, that means you can carry something almost the size of a school backpack or small duffel bag. Yet people still show up with something tiny and end up cramming essentials into a handbag they can barely zip shut. But let's say you did pay for that carry-on. You'd think you're in the clear, right? Not exactly, because once you're at the gate, there's no guarantee you'll actually get to keep that bag with you. If the flight's full, and these days most are, the overhead bins fill up fast. When that happens, flight attendants start tagging roller bags to be gate checked. That means you're forced to hand it over at the plane door, and you'll have to retrieve it at baggage claim. Best case, it's an annoying delay. Worst case, it gets delayed, lost, or damaged. And here's the kicker. This can happen even if you paid for that bag. You're not guaranteed bin space, you're just paying for the privilege of maybe keeping your belongings nearby. This whole scramble for overhead space has created a weird side effect at boarding gates. If you've ever noticed people clustering near the gate before their group is called, you've witnessed what airline staff call gate lice. It's not a flattering name, but it describes the crowd that builds up hoping to get on board early and grab bin space before it runs out. These travelers aren't just eager. They're strategic. But now, some airlines are cracking down on this behavior. Agents are being trained to spot early boarders who try to sneak in and send them to the back of the line. That means if you try to board out of order just to avoid checking your bag, you might end up boarding dead last, which pretty much guarantees your bag won't make it on board with you anyway. So now, you're not just dealing with baggage fees and surprise check-ins, you're up against a psychological game where boarding order matters more than ever. So what do frequent flyers know that most people don't? They ditch the roller bag altogether and travel with a max-size personal item. The trick is choosing the right bag. A standard tote won't cut it. You want something like a structured travel backpack that opens like a suitcase. These bags are designed to slide under the seat, but still hold a week's worth of stuff if you pack smart. And that's where technique comes into play. The real secret to packing light isn't just minimalism, it's efficiency. Most people fold their clothes the way they do at home, then cram everything in. But experienced travelers use a method called the army roll or military roll. Instead of folding, you lay each item flat, smooth it out, then roll it into a tight bundle. You even fold a bit of fabric over the end to lock it in, creating a compact, self-contained roll that won't come undone. It works for everything: shirts, pants, even jackets, and you'd be amazed how much less space it takes up. But that's only the beginning. The real magic happens when you combine army rolling with compression packing cubes. These aren't just your average organizers. They come with an extra zipper that compresses the contents even further. It's like a vacuum seal, without the vacuum. Load your rolled clothes into the cube, zip it shut, then zip the compression layer around it. The air gets squeezed out, and suddenly, what looked like a full bag now has room to spare. This is how you fit 5 to 7 days worth of outfits into a personal item. No checked luggage, no overhead bin stress, and no surprise fees. Of course, the key to pulling this off isn't just technique, it's also knowing what to pack. A common mistake is bringing too many options. Instead, think in layers and color palettes. Choose a set of clothes that mix and match easily. Neutral tones, wrinkle-resistant fabrics, and pieces you can dress up or down. A single pair of versatile pants, a few breathable tops, one light sweater, and you're covered for most situations. And always wear your bulkiest stuff on the plane. Your jacket, boots, hoodie, wear them. It saves space, and you can take them off once you're in your seat. It's a mindset shift. You're not sacrificing comfort or style. You're making travel easier. Lighter bags mean faster boarding, quicker exits, less stress, and most importantly, no waiting at baggage claim, wondering if your bag missed the connection. You're off the plane and on your way, while everyone else is still staring at a carousel. Want to keep going into the next part? I can continue seamlessly in too. The travel gadgets, security hacks, and the trick at the end that boosts comfort mid-flight. Let me know and I'll keep building the script from where this leaves off. Even if you've paid extra for a carry-on, there's something airlines aren't telling you. That bag might not stay with you. It's called a gate check, and it's becoming more common, especially on crowded flights. Here's how it works. You board the plane, roll your bag down the aisle, and just before you reach your seat, a flight attendant stops you. Overhead bins are full, they say. We'll have to check that. You don't get a choice. You hand over the bag, they tag it, and suddenly you're watching it vanish down a jet bridge, hoping it shows up again when you land. The problem is, this isn't a rare event. It's a quiet strategy airlines are using to manage space, and it mostly affects the people in later boarding groups, which, surprise, surprise, includes basic economy passengers. It's part of a tiered system. The more you pay or the higher your frequent flyer status, the earlier you board. And the earlier you board, the more likely you are to find overhead space. Everyone else, they're gambling. Now here's where things get frustrating. Some people are figuring this out and trying to beat the system. Ever see someone hovering near the gate, pretending not to be in line, but inching closer with every passing minute? They're trying to sneak on early. The airline industry has a name for this: gate lice. It's not flattering, but it's a real term used to describe passengers who crowd the boarding area long before their group is called, just to snatch up overhead space. At first, it worked, but not anymore. In response, many airlines have started cracking down. If you try to jump the line, they'll send you to the back, or at best, force you to wait until your group is officially called. And if your group is already boarding and you're caught elbowing your way forward, they might delay your entry entirely. It's become a kind of power play, an unspoken battle between the airline, the staff, and desperate passengers who just want to keep their bag from getting gate checked. So what's the workaround? You skip the roller bag entirely. The new strategy isn't to fight for bin space, it's to avoid needing it in the first place. That means traveling with just a personal item. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people seriously underestimate how much you can fit into one. The trick is using a bag that meets airline limits, but still opens like a suitcase. Think of a structured backpack with interior compartments, or a compact duffel that unzips flat. When packed right, these bags can hold a week's worth of gear. No wheels, no drama, no getting flagged at the gate. And not only does it eliminate the bin space battle, it also speeds up every other part of your journey. You board faster, settle in easier, and don't have to jostle with other passengers in the aisle. You don't wait at baggage claim. You don't worry about bags being lost or delayed. You're in, you're out, and you're already halfway to the hotel, while everyone else is still waiting for their suitcase to appear. The airlines aren't going to advertise this trick because it disrupts their upsell model. They want you paying for bags, upgrading for boarding priority, buying into credit cards for perks. Also, you can bring a little suitcase that doesn't even always stay with you, but once you shift to traveling with a maxed out personal item, you cut through all of it. No more carry-on fees, no more arguments at the gate, and no more rolling your eyes when someone with Group 9 tries to stuff a massive bag above row 3. This isn't just about beating the system. It's about simplifying travel. No more stress about getting on the plane fast enough. No more hoping you get lucky with bin space. You've got everything you need under the seat in front of you and zero chance of getting separated from your stuff. And that alone, it's worth more than any elite boarding status. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with the next section, where we dive into how to actually pack that personal item to fit way more than seems possible. Most travelers think the boarding gate is just a waiting area, but for frequent flyers, it's a battlefield. The moment your group is called, the pressure hits. Grab a spot in line, find overhead space, and don't be that person holding everyone up. But in recent years, a new kind of traveler has emerged, the kind that shows up early, hovers by the gate, and subtly edges forward before their group is even close to boarding. They're not being aggressive, they're being strategic, because they know what's coming. The bin war. These passengers, nicknamed gate lice by airline staff, are there for one reason: to beat the rush. They know the bins will fill up. They know late boarders will be forced to check their bags, and they're doing everything they can to avoid it. You might laugh at how eager they look, but they're playing a game, and for a while, it worked. Sneaking on early was the golden hack, until airlines noticed. Now, some airlines have flipped the script. Instead of letting passengers inch forward unnoticed, gate agents are cracking down. If you try to board ahead of your group, even by a few seconds, they'll call you out and send you to the back. If you hover too close to the boarding lane, they might make you step aside entirely. In some cases, they've even held up the line just to make a point. The message is clear: don't game the system or you'll lose your place altogether. And when that happens, you're guaranteed to board last, and your bag is guaranteed to be gate checked. But here's where it gets more interesting. These crowd control tactics aren't just about order, they're about revenue. By penalizing late boarders and shrinking the number of free overhead spots, airlines increase the number of people willing to pay for priority boarding. It's not just a perk anymore, it's a defensive move. People are shelling out extra cash just to avoid the stress of finding a place to stash their bag. And for the airlines, it's a win-win. They get fewer delays during boarding and more money from anxious passengers trying to skip the drama. This is exactly why experienced travelers are ditching the carry-on arms race altogether. No more jockeying for position. No more standing awkwardly by the gate hoping to slip through. They've figured out a better strategy. Use a personal item bag, the biggest one allowed, and bypass the whole bin game. No need to board early. No need to worry about gate agents or last-minute checks. You stroll on with your essentials already under the seat in front of you, while everyone else is caught up in a frantic boarding lottery. And when you travel this way, something amazing happens. You stop caring about boarding order entirely. You don't have to rush to the front. You don't have to stand for 30 minutes just to board a few seconds earlier. You don't have to stress about whether the bins will be full, because they don't matter. You've stepped outside the system they've created, and that kind of freedom, it's something no credit card upgrade or elite status can buy. Most people think personal item means something tiny, like a purse, laptop sleeve, or compact tote. That's exactly what the airlines want you to think. They want you to underestimate the space you're allowed so that you'll pay for a carry-on. But here's the truth. A personal item can be surprisingly large. As long as it fits under the seat in front of you, it qualifies. And every airline lists those dimensions publicly. Once you know the limits, you can use them to your advantage and travel with a bag that's nearly the size of a small carry-on without paying a cent more. The key is to choose the right bag. Don't grab a soft, floppy tote that collapses in on itself. You want a structured bag, ideally a travel backpack or duffel with a clamshell opening, so it packs like a suitcase. Bonus points if it has internal dividers, tech compartments, and quick access pockets. Think of it as stealth luggage. It doesn't look big, but when packed properly, it can hold enough for a weekend, even a full week, of travel. And here's where things get fun. When you're limited on space, how you pack matters more than what you pack. The real game changer? The Army roll. Also called the military roll, this method turns bulky clothes into tight, compact cylinders. It works on everything: jeans, shirts, hoodies, and it's simple. Lay the clothing item flat, fold a few inches of the hem up to form a pocket, then roll tightly from the opposite end. Once you've reached the top, flip that pocket over the roll to seal it. It's like a self-contained burrito of fabric that won't unravel. It stays tight, saves space, and keeps your bag from turning into a chaotic mess. But don't stop there. Take those neatly rolled clothes and put them into compression packing cubes. These aren't the basic fabric pouches you see in airport gift shops. They're upgraded with a second zipper layer that squeezes out excess air. Zip it once to close it, then zip again to compress everything down even smaller. You'll be shocked at how much more space you gain. It's basically vacuum packing without needing a pump. And when you open your bag at your destination, everything is still neat, organized, and wrinkle-free. Once you've got your packing technique dialed in, it's time to think about what you actually bring. The most common mistake travelers make is overpacking, bringing outfits just in case and shoes they'll never wear. But if you plan your wardrobe strategically, you can cut your clothing list in half without losing flexibility. Stick to mix and match items in neutral colors. Think black, gray, navy, white. So every top pairs with every bottom. Focus on breathable, wrinkle-resistant fabrics that stay comfortable and fresh even after a long day of sightseeing. And here's a tip that'll save you even more space. Wear your bulkiest items on the plane. That means your biggest shoes, your heaviest jacket, maybe even a hoodie or sweater layered over your t-shirt. Once you're on board, you can stash them in the overhead bin or use them as a makeshift pillow. Either way, you've freed up valuable room in your personal item without sacrificing comfort. It's not just about space, it's about confidence. When you know you've packed efficiently, there's a sense of control that makes your whole travel experience smoother. You're not worried about overweight fees, lost luggage, or last-minute repacking. You're mobile, streamlined, ready to move through airports, buses, or crowded streets without dragging a clunky suitcase behind you. It's travel the way it should be: simple, smart, and stress-free. Most people assume that if they're packing less, they have to leave important stuff behind. But that's only true if you're packing blindly. The real secret is knowing exactly what does belong in your bag, and just as importantly, what doesn't. Once your clothes are rolled and packed tight, your next step is loading up with the essentials that actually make travel easier, and that starts with gear. First on the list, a portable charger. Not just any charger. You want one with enough juice to charge your phone at least twice. The last thing you need is your phone dying when you land, especially if it holds your boarding pass, hotel confirmation, and directions to where you're going. Airports love to advertise charging stations, but they're always crowded, half-broken, or missing entirely. Having your own battery pack is like carrying insurance for your tech. Next up, a universal travel adapter. If you're headed overseas, not all power outlets will be compatible with your plugs, and you don't want to be the person desperately hunting for one in a tourist-trap electronics shop. A solid adapter lets you plug in anywhere and charge multiple devices at once: phone, camera, tablet, you name it. It's compact, cheap, and absolutely essential if you're crossing time zones. Another pro move? Bring a compact luggage scale. It might sound excessive, but here's the deal. Most airlines enforce strict weight limits, especially on budget carriers. And if you're cutting it close, even an extra pound or two can lead to surprise fees. A handheld digital scale takes seconds to use and can save you a ton of money, especially if you plan on bringing souvenirs back home. Noise-canceling headphones are one of those things you don't think you need until you try them. Engine hum, crying babies, endless announcements, gone. They don't just make the flight more peaceful, they help you rest, zone out, and arrive in a better state of mind. You don't need a $400 pair either. Even mid-range models will dramatically improve your travel experience. Now, let's talk about organization. One mistake beginners make is dumping everything into one big compartment. Instead, break your gear into zones. Use a cable organizer for your chargers and cords so they don't end up tangled in the bottom of your bag. Keep your toiletries in a clear TSA-compliant pouch so you can breeze through security. Pack a slim folder or zip envelope for important papers, passport, boarding pass, vaccination records, whatever you need, so you're not fumbling at checkpoints. And don't forget a first aid kit. Nothing fancy, just a small zip pouch with a few band-aids, painkillers, allergy meds, and maybe a motion sickness pill or two. You don't think you'll need it until you're miles from a pharmacy and wishing you had one. The beauty of traveling with just a personal item isn't just freedom, it's peace of mind. No check bag means no lines at the carousel, no fear of losing your stuff, no dragging luggage upstairs or down cobblestone streets. You're lighter, faster, and more adaptable. And when your gear is curated, compact, and purposeful, it makes every part of your trip easier. Packing for one climate is hard enough. But what happens when your trip covers multiple zones? Hot during the day, freezing at night, or bouncing from a beach town to a mountain pass? That's where most travelers overpack. They start throwing in just-in-case outfits and end up with a bag that barely zips. But here's the trick. You don't need more clothing, you need smarter clothing, and a layering strategy that adapts without adding bulk. Start with the foundation. Base layers. These are thin, lightweight pieces that sit close to your skin and help regulate temperature. In colder climates, go with thermal tops and leggings made from moisture-wicking fabric. They keep you warm without adding weight, and they roll up to almost nothing. In hot environments, you can swap these for breathable cotton or quick-dry synthetics that let your skin breathe and stay cool. Next, pack one versatile mid-layer, something like a fleece, merino wool sweater, or lightweight pullover. These trap heat when it's cold and can be worn alone when it's not. They also dress up your look if you're heading somewhere a little nicer. Dinner, a museum, maybe even a casual meeting. The key is choosing one that's neutral and wrinkle-resistant, so it fits into any outfit combo without screaming camping trip. Now, your outer layer. This one's non-negotiable. Whether you're braving rain, wind, or snow, you need a shell that protects without weighing you down. A compact, waterproof jacket, preferably one that folds into its own pocket, is ideal. It acts as a barrier in bad weather, but disappears into your bag the second the sun comes out. Bonus points if it has a hood and zippers for ventilation. For warmer destinations, go light. Think linen shirts, shorts, and breathable tank tops that don't cling when it's humid. Pack one swimsuit, maybe two if you'll be swimming daily. And don't forget a sun hat. A wide-brimmed one can be crushed flat in your bag and still spring back to life when you need it. And sunscreen? It's essential. You can buy it at your destination, but if you're bringing it, make sure it fits the TSA's liquid limits. For winter, it's all about strategic layering. Instead of packing heavy coats or multiple sweaters, combine your thermal base, insulating mid-layer, and weatherproof shell. Throw in a pair of gloves, a compact beanie, and a scarf that can double as a blanket or even a makeshift pillow on the plane. And remember, you can wear most of your cold weather gear on the flight to save space. Just shed layers once you're in the terminal or on the plane for those in-between trips, the ones where the weather changes every few hours. Versatility is your best friend. Bring a lightweight packable jacket that works for wind or light rain. Choose tops you can layer, roll, and rewear. And pack pieces that do double duty. A scarf that's also a wrap, shoes that work for walking, and nice dinners. A shirt that goes from hike to hotel lounge with a simple change in accessories. Once you start packing this way, you stop needing options, because everything you bring is an option. You're not guessing what you'll wear, you're building outfits like a puzzle, and every piece fits together. That's how you travel. Prepared without traveling heavy. Let's talk about the gear that actually makes travel smoother. not the gimmicky stuff that looks cool on Instagram, but ends up buried at the bottom of your bag. These are the tools serious travelers swear by, the ones that quietly make every part of your trip more comfortable, more organized, and a lot less stressful. Start with portable power. A dead phone at the airport isn't just inconvenient, it can derail your entire trip. No boarding pass, no rideshare, no hotel info. That's why a solid portable charger is a must. Not some tiny lipstick-sized one that barely gets you through. Half a charge. Go for a high-capacity bank that can power your phone 2 or 3 times over. It's not about using it constantly, it's about having a safety net when everything else falls apart. Next up, noise-cancelling headphones. Once you fly with them, you'll never go back. Engine rumble, crying babies, endless announcements. Gone. Whether you're trying to sleep, watch a movie, or just zone out, a decent pair turns the cabin into your own bubble of calm. And no, you don't have to spend a fortune. Mid-range models block out plenty of noise and are lightweight enough to wear for hours without discomfort. Then there's the universal travel adapter. Not the clunky ones with a dozen parts, but a compact all-in-one unit that works in multiple regions and lets you plug in several devices at once. If you're heading overseas, this is non-negotiable. And even if you're not, it's worth having on hand. Hotels and airports aren't always generous with outlets. And if you're carrying multiple devices, phone, tablet, smartwatch, you'll want to charge more than one at a time. A digital luggage scale might seem unnecessary until the day your bag gets flagged for being overweight. It's a simple tool. Clip it to the handle, lift, and get an instant readout. When airlines are charging outrageous fees for bags that are just a pound over the limit, this one gadget can save you real money, especially useful on the way home, when your bag's mysteriously heavier thanks to that one extra souvenir you swore would fit. And speaking of things that seem small but matter big, cable organizers. Without one, your cords turn into a chaotic mess at the bottom of your bag. With one, every charger, adapter, and cable has its place, ready when you need it. You can find super slim designs that fit into any bag and keep your tech kit streamlined and easy to access. Then there's your toiletry kit. Often overlooked, always important. Use a clear TSA-compliant pouch so you're not digging through your stuff at security. Keep it minimal. Travel-sized versions of your essentials, a toothbrush, deodorant, moisturizer, maybe a tiny cologne or perfume if that's your thing. Stick to products you know work for you. Don't rely on hotel freebies or unfamiliar brands that might irritate your skin. Finally, throw in a mini first aid kit. Nothing bulky. Just a few band-aids, painkillers, maybe allergy meds, and something for motion sickness. It takes up almost no space and can save your day when something goes sideways mid-flight or after landing. If you've ever gotten a blister halfway through a city tour or had a headache with 4 hours left on your connection, you'll be glad you brought it. Every one of these items has a purpose. None of them are for show. And when you travel with only what works, what actually makes things easier, you're not just saving space. You're saving time, energy, and all the little frustrations that slowly wear down a trip. Want me to finish with the final trick? The in-flight move that frees up legroom instantly and makes your seat way more comfortable? Let's wrap it up. Here's the thing about flying economy. Comfort is limited, space is tight, and unless you've shelled out for an upgrade, you're probably stuck in a seat that was designed for efficiency, not relaxation. But there's one simple move, completely within the rules, that most travelers never use, and it can make a surprising difference on any flight. It's all about how you use the space around your feet. When you board with a personal item, the rule is clear. It goes under the seat in front of you for takeoff and landing. That's standard. But once the plane is in the air, there's no rule that says it has to stay there. And that's the trick. After takeoff, once the seatbelt sign is off, you reach down and gently slide your bag back behind your legs. Tuck it just behind your calves or slightly under your own seat. You're not breaking any policies. You're simply reclaiming your legroom. That one move alone gives you several extra inches of stretch space. No need to jam your knees into the seat ahead of you. No more awkward foot angles just to keep your bag in place. You've created room to move, adjust, and relax. On long flights, That comfort boost is everything, and because the bag is still close by, you've got access to whatever you need: headphones, snacks, a hoodie, without having to awkwardly reach up into the overhead bin or bug your seatmate. What makes this trick so useful is how few people actually think to do it. Most passengers leave their bag exactly where they first stashed it, cramped up against their feet the entire flight. But you know better. You've packed light, organized smart, and now you're flying more comfortably without spending an extra dime. That's the power of approaching travel with intention. You're not just stuffing clothes into a bag and hoping for the best. You're playing the airlines game and winning. You've skipped the carry-on fees, avoided gate check roulette, sidestepped boarding chaos, and packed for every scenario with just one personal item. And you've done it all without giving up comfort, style, or control. This is what happens when you stop traveling the way airlines expect you to, and start traveling the way you want to: smarter, lighter, better. If you found this helpful, there's a whole lot more where this came from. Tricks, hacks, and behind-the-scenes insights airlines don't want you to know. Subscribe for more.